Welcome to KB News. Here, Kapil. Today, I'm reading editorial from the Hindu. The editorial named is "Read the Distress Signal." The writer is Ajit Ranade. The tagline is "Farming must be treated as a market-based enterprise and made viable on its own terms." The week-long farmers' march, which reached Mumbai earlier this month on the anniversary of Gandhi's Dandi March on 1930, was unprecedented in many ways. It was mostly silent and disciplined, mostly leaderless, non-disruptive, and non-violent, and well-organized. It received the sympathy of middle-class city dwellers, food and water from bystanders, free medical service from volunteer doctors, and also bandwagon support of all political parties from the left to right. Beyond lip service, indeed, even the Chief Minister of Maharashtra said he supported the cause, not the march, but as head of government, his job was to address their issue, not to agitate. The most remarkable thing about the march was that it was successful. The state government agreed to all the demands, including pending transfer of forest land to Adivasis, expanding the scope of loan waiver, and ensuring higher prices higher prices for farm produce. There was a ceremonial signing of acceptance of the demands, although the chief minister said that he had tried to dissuade the farmers from undertaking the grueling 200-kilometer march itself. The farmers, however, were determined to march to make a point and to ensure that they received firm, signed, and publicly visible commitment rather than assurance and lip service. Recurrent farmers' agitation in the last few years across the nation lead us to ask why have we come to this pass that only extreme distress and street protests alert us to deep and chronic problems of agriculture. Not all agitations have been peaceful or successful. Last year in Haryana and Rajasthan, they tried to block highways, which led to traffic chaos. In Madhya Pradesh, in Mandsaur district, the Protestant violence led to the police firing and deaths of farmers. The electoral outcomes in Gujarat too was wake up call if any was needed to the ruling party to pay attention to rural and agrarian distress. It is not as if governments of the day have not paid attention. Over the years and decades, there have been numerous committees, reports, and commissions with extensively researched policy recommendations. Yet, farming is a story of recurring distress. This implies that the recommendations are not working and need paradigm change, or there is a huge gap in their implementation, or bit of both. The most comprehensive recent blueprint for reforms and rehabilitation of the farm sector is the report of National Commission on Farmers, chaired by M.S. Swaminathan. That report is already over 10 years old. Several of its ideas are yet to be implemented. For instance, decentralizing public procurement of food grain to the lowest level possible and setting up of the grain banks at district levels. What is the priority? The farm problem of India is a huge mountain, but it is surmountable. The biggest priority is to reduce the workforce which depends on the for its livelihood. There is a considerable underemployment and low productivity, but farmers are unable to exit to other livelihood options. This point to the obvious conclusion that solution to the farm crisis lies largely outside the farm sector. If job opportunities abound elsewhere, then we should see an exodus of out of farming that point to urgency of the accelerating industrial growth and improving the ease of doing business. But we also need to acknowledge that the farm sector has been shackled for far too long. Farming is to be treated as a business and has to be viable on its own terms. Historically, farm prices were kept suppressed to keep industrial wages low. This meant monopoly procurement laws and intermediations through the Agricultural Produce Market Committee (APMC), but that was compensated by providing the farmer with highly subsidized inputs, water, electricity, fertilizer, credit, and seeds. But this did not benefit the really needy eh, subs- subsistence farmers, nor did it alter the terms of trade, which to this day remains tilted against agriculture. Over the years, policy frameworks is increasingly complex, and the patchwork quilt of mutually compensating measures. Thus, we have ended up with all the shackles with remains intact. The APMC is not discontinued. Monopoly procurement continues. There is little progress in direct link between farmer and buyer. Foreign direct investment in the farm to fork chain is very restricted. Half the farmers don't have access to formal credit since most of them don't own the land that they till. Contract farming remains virtually banned. Land leasing is not possible but done informally. Moneylenders are taboo, even though they might be in the best position to address credit needs, albeit with proper regulation. Thus, the farmer plight is full of woe exposed to risk from prices, demand, weather, pest, and themes of policy and regulations. It's not surprise that crisis is chronic and loan waiver become imperative more for moral and ethical reason than economic. Loan waiver punish those who worked hard and repaid, and the cash anyway goes to the bank, not to farmers. Banks don't issue fresh loans out of their bank risk aversion. Hence, loan waivers are in bad economic idea, but often a political compulsion. The same is true of rewarding farmers with 50% more minimum support price, no matter what the cost. This paradigm of cost plus pricing is bad economics. Sugarcane grows cheaper in Uttar Pradesh in Gangetic plains than in drought-prone Maharashtra. But with an assured cost plus MSP, there's little incentive to diversify crops to suit weather and cost conditions. Some positive steps to its credit. Some recent initiatives of the government are laudable. Neem coated fertilizers has reduced leakage and direct benefits. Transport to the farmer buyer will reduce subsidy further. Soil card ensure appropriate matching of inputs to soil conditions. Giving tax holidays to farmers, producer companies is also the right fiscal incentive. The government's aim to double farm income in the next 4 years is nearly impossible feat, but signals the right intention. The big agenda is to unshackle agriculture to make it truly commercial market-based enterprise, to create opportunities outside farming for large-scale exit of the workforce, to connect farmers to the value chain of farm to fork, including agribusiness, to remove restrictions on movement and exports of farm produce and let them tap into international market, to also allow easier land transfer including leasing, to encourage crop diversification and land consolidation that reverses fragmentation. As said earlier, the farm problem is a huge mountain but surmountable. Ajit Ranade is a Mumbai-based economist. So this was the editorial from the Hindu, naming "Read the Distress Signal." I hope you liked this. If you like channel, subscribe to my channel, KB News. Thank you very much.